Hi, David Smith. How are you?
Hello. Here you go.
Here's 2 happy bucks.
All right.
President Tom. President Tom, fellow Lions, and guests. My hat says David Smith. My badge says David Smith. And on the sign-up sheet back there, it says David Smith.
All right.
I mean, now we gotta find out. My happiest day of my life. I'm 76 years old and going to be 77 on November 3rd. The happiest day of my life is asking Jesus into my life as Savior, and asking forgiveness of sins and to God too. And I'm happy for all the people that love me here and the love that I can get back to each and every one of you. And I'll try to make this quick and end with the song. And this is the song I want to sing. I'm so happy, and here's the reason why. Jesus took my burdens all away. Once a life was full of sin and strife. Now I'm singing as the days go by. Jesus took my burdens all away. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Did I miss you, Phil?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. You don't have to stand up. Phil Olson, past president.
President Tom, fellow Lions and guests, hearing David sing reminded me that the Castle Rock Men's Ensemble is singing the national anthem at the Black Bears game tomorrow night. And we haven't been together singing for about 2 years, so it could be very interesting.
Okay, take it away, Tom. President Tom. President Tom.
Okay, the Invocation by John Claypool.
Father, we first of all hope that our bell hasn't been stolen. We do stand here before you in thanksgiving for all the blessings that we have. We thank you for having leaders like Frank, who is our guest speaker, who takes care of our community house here. We ask you to watch over us as we continue to earn monies to give back to the community. We hope that we use them wisely. We thank you for this food and friendship that we have, and bless us in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge by Steve Patterson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Song by Marilyn Patterson.
Trees of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of thy pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Okay, do we have any guests back there?
There are no guests other than our guest speaker.
Okay. Does anybody have the sunshine report? Margie isn't here. Okay. Well, we'll keep moving on. We'll try and see if we can't get something here. Let's go to announcements. Concessions, Louis?
President Tom, fellow Lions and guests. Oh, I didn't mention nothing about the breakfast last week at the lake, and I want to fill you in on that. I was amazed how busy we were. We weren't too busy the first day. Second day, we were busy. And I told them, we won't be busy the third day. That was our busiest day. And then also, I have to apologize to Ken. He bought these pancake maker things, and I fussed with him about it, but they worked great. So I'm sorry, Ken. And our pancake makers, Steve and Rick and Ken made pancakes and sausage. They did a great job. We had the most beautiful pancakes in the world there. And then, okay, at the lake, I would like everybody that signed up to be there at the lake at 4 o'clock, because we're going to try something different this year.
Okay.
Because all those people that signed up, like if you signed up for Kill Corn, I want you to make sure you get that going. And if you signed up for cotton candy, that'll be your job, get that going. And so forth. And if you get a free moment that you can help somebody else, go help them. So we're going to try that. Because there was a little bit of confusion last week, so we're trying something different. So, and then we're busy, but there's a few places we got to sharpen up at and get better at. So, and then we're going to have 2 cleanups. One is going to be on Friday for people that clean the dishes and stuff, and one's going to be on Monday for us to do the major cleaning in the wagon and the kettle corn machine and everything. So we need people there on Monday too. So anyway, and on Monday it'll be at 9 o'clock, and the other's on Jane's list.
And both of them are on the,
Okay. Yeah, Jane has them both on there now. So, but everybody at the lake at 4 that signed up.
Louis, you forgot something.
Oh yes, I did. We are missing our kettle corn flavorings. So anybody that helped haul stuff over after the 4th there, please go back and check your vehicles and see if you might have it in there, because it's a whole box of flavorings for our kettle corn. I mean, there's cinnamon and banana flavorings and
What kind of
blueberry.
container is it in?
I mean, there's a lot of flavorings in there, and it's a lot of money, so.
What kind of
It-
container?
It's a plastic tub container. It's I call it a dirty brown color. Anyway.
Okay.
It's red with a blue
Just
top.
go back and look and make sure you got everything out of your rigs.
Dishwater.
It's red. And it has a blue top.
Brick red. Huh? Brick red.
Okay, I'll go with that one.
Okay, Cindy Sessions has something.
President Tom, fellow Lions and guests, I just wanted to give an update on our adopted graduates that we did this year. I wanted to let you know we made it into a true zone project. We had the Peninsula, Willamette, or Wahkiakum, Kalama, which actually they adopted between them and the VFW. They adopted all 54 of their graduates. What's really, it was touching. And then we had Longview and Kelso, and we also did the Discovery High School, which is the alternate high school. I had teachers adopting their own students. I mean, how special is that? I had a teacher that said, Cindy, I don't like to shop, here's $100 for a student. You know, I mean, this didn't get much better than that. So we adopted 122 this year. And I'd like to say that the gifts got better this year because it wasn't last minute like it was last year. I started working on it in February, and it was great. We had the noon Rotary involved, we had morning Rotary involved. It just was a great turnout of different service clubs working together to adopt our graduating seniors. So I want to thank everybody that was involved, and it was suggested to go forward with it next year, and I'm saying somebody else can take charge.
Thank you. Next, Cindy Fickett.
President Tom, members and guests. I'm redoing the name tags, as you kind of noticed when you checked in. So I put out a kind of a test to make sure that the names are spelled right, my computer didn't change them, or my fingers didn't go somewhere else. And in order. I know Marilyn said she was out of order, so that I need to know all those things. So you're in order.
She's always out of order.
So anyway, I'm taking the name box home with me tonight. So if you want a number that matches your name number, please put your name tags back into the box. Me and Louie are going to do that tonight. I'm finally on it.
Does Louie know this? Does he know that?
He does.
Okay, does anybody else have anything that they want to bring up? Oh, I forgot, Greg.
Oh, I have one more thing.
President Tom, Phil Lines, I guess I got two announcements today. First one, tomorrow night is our monthly Sight and Hearing Foundation meeting. That's at 6:30 Canterbury Park. In John's prayer, he talked about our money raisers and what we use it for in the community. Well, this is one thing we use it for. Our Sight and Hearing Foundation provides high-class hearing aids for those that are in need. The other is membership. I erred last week when I said that,
Again?
I said we had 5 individuals coming in this month. I was wrong, we have 6.
Thanks. What? Cindy?
President Tom, members and guests, I wanted to mention too that our district governor is having their first cabinet meeting at the end of this month on the 31st. And it's in Curtis, Washington. Boyceford Lions Club. So anyway, I was going to bring a flyer and pass it around, but it's there with the insurance policy that's supposed to give tone today for the fair. So I will have sign-up sheets for next week, or just let you know the information on there where it's going to be, when, what time. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we need to have a board meeting today, right after this meeting. Just meet over here. And then also, there will be no board meeting next Thursday, but we'll have one the first week and the third week in August. So,
First and third?
the first Thursday and the third Thursday in August.
Board meeting?
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to Larry for our guests, unless does anybody have anything else? Okay, here, Larry.
Tom, Phil Lines. I guess there's no guest today except for one. I'm about to introduce you. And I don't know that he needs a lot of introduction because he's been here before speaking to us. And many people in the community are familiar with Frank and the many places he's been in service in our community. He's currently the director of the Broadway House, Community House at Broadway, and has been for a few years. And many good things going there, and I think he's involved in a couple other things around town too. Without further ado, I'll give you to Frank.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, members. I got to thinking the last time I was here, there was about as many people in the room as there is now, so it's good to see you guys got back together again and got that momentum. It's so good to be together, isn't it? It's so difficult. That season was just not an easy season. And I do have to say, I've been directing Community House since 2012. And through the years, I've learned a lot about the homeless. As you know, a lot of you know maybe that we really started on our own journey, my wife and I, by adopting 5 kids. and they all had mild to severe mental health issues. And so we personally had to navigate the system, and see how to get as much help for them as possible, and as much help for my wife and I as possible too. So as I stepped into the community house on Broadway, I came in with that personal experience, and then the first couple of years there at community house, I'm just summarizing this, we had non-residents that were coming in and eating with the residents. And by 2014, we thought, we had a severe flu that year. And so we put the pause on it and we said, hold on, let's keep down the exposure to the residents and the staff. And when we did that, we started to notice the increase of single moms coming in. And what that told us is, and by October, that started kind of like at the beginning of the spring. By October, we had 63 kids and 63 adults. And 80% of the families were single moms. So we didn't go back to the situation of re-exposing the residents who were trying to get off drugs and trying to keep away from that lifestyle. And so we took some heat for that, but we had to do it because we had to focus on the people that were coming through their issues of addiction and abuse, physically, mentally, and emotionally. When that occurred, you guys, in 2013, I'm going to just keep going, so 2013, I did the funeral for the mom that gave birth to the 5 kids that we adopted. She was 37. She passed away at a young age, but she was prostituted at a young age, like 11 years old, and had her first kid by 14, so it was a disaster. Her last couple of years of life were good. We did an open adoption agreement. We let the kids see her, and it was just the right amount for her of what she can handle. She had a lot of mental health issues herself. And one of the things, at the memorial service, I met a gal that was in the crowd that stuck out like a sore thumb. She was a gal that looked professional, and I'm like, what are you doing here? I was her counselor for the last couple of years. She did such a great job. And so I told that gal at the memorial service, October 2013, that I'd like to start a mental health agency. Well, fast forward a couple more months, Dr. Thorson and 4 other doctors and their spouses donated the internal medicine clinic building. And so now I have a building. I'm going to ask that gal that I saw at the funeral to come and help me get licensed so that we can have mental health and chemical dependency embedded into community house. Because that's what I see predominantly is people with mental health issues, people with addiction issues, and so it runs so deep. We got the license in 9 months. By January 2015, we got our first contract. The first year we saw a couple hundred people. It was kind of a slow start. One of the things I noticed, it was very difficult to get people that were counseling out of their office over to community house. And I wasn't going to play that, because that system, I've already seen that and it doesn't work. You got to go and be where they're at in the natural environment as much as possible with safety in mind. And so, which community house, we're clean and sober. Yes, we take on some very challenging clients. I gotta say, maybe, in the number of years I've directed, it's almost 10 years next year, maybe just a handful on one hand of people that actually got arrested while we were at community house. So most of the time, those that have issues that cannot make it in that crowd, we have to excuse them because we got so many people that want to recover, so many people that need that support. So fast forward, here we are, 5 years later, after starting Core Health, and we have 130 employees at Core Health, and we have 30 employees for Community House, because Core Health was able to purchase the Park Royal location. And what that did is that solved the problem of physically disabled folks and those with schizophrenia that they need just a much quieter environment, not little kids running around, because we usually have about 40 kids at Community House, and half of them are under the age of 5. So we were able to get that, and Core Health and Community House work out a deal, and it works really good to have a private organization partner with a publicly funded organization. It does. And we serve predominantly Medicaid. That's how we've helped so many people make it through their recoveries, because we had the holistic deal. Medicaid also added supported housing and supported employment that are also funded by Medicaid. So that helps, because when I came in Community House in 2012, we might have had a dozen employees max, and we had 90 residents at all times. Now we have about 130 residents at all time at 2 different sites. So all that to say is we were able to cover much more expense. So the next thing in my mind is thinking, okay, we have the physically disabled. We've got a location, because we had people that were upstairs and hadn't been down in 2 months. And I was like, oh my goodness, on breathing machines. Then once, I want to make sure you know that this is not an assisted living and it's not hospice, and we call it Core Health Extended Support Services. So I remember trying to follow the kids out the door to the schools in my mind to help them at the schools with our Core Health employees. Follow them in the sense of helping them at the school and communicating with the teachers and working with them. Well, that started. Now we see Core Health sees 600 kids a month and 600 adults. We see 1,200 people a month at Core Health. And Community House is high priority, and the kids are high priority. So here's this. I threw this idea out at the state, and I said, hey, what if we created a youth support center where you can actually have activities for free for the kids to come and do, and then we'll do mental health and chemical dependency counseling on site. And so they denied us the first time, but 4 or 5 months later, they called me and they said, say that again. And okay, we're going to give you $2 million. They gave that to Core Health. And so we bought the Cortons building, which a lot of you know is a Cortons building, but Dave Look owned it with his father. And so we purchased that, and we've now built it out. There's going to be a climbing wall on the 2nd floor in that auditorium, and art room. There's going to be all kinds of ping pong, air hockey, and foosball, and everything downstairs. Everything that we can attract the kids that have nothing to do and don't have as many friends, and they aren't in sports. That's a gap in the system of things to do. So Core Health is making that open for the Community House kids. I'm going to make sure that happens. By the way, I run both of them. You know, it's kind of goofy, but they are both. I have 2 separate boards completely. 2 separate boards that I answer to. So, and got some outstanding. One of the board members, Bruce Rosebrock, I don't think he's here today. He was here last week. He said, where are you, dude? But I said, I'm speaking this week. So that's coming about, and that's going to open, I was hoping by August, but possibly September. So, Community House on Broadway has its annual CARES meeting. You know, our CARES campaign, where we get together and we hold an event and we invite people to come to it. It's August 24th. August 24th in the Cortons building on the 2nd floor. And we'll have a dinner. Actually, Hop and Great will be the one that caters it. You do need to RSVP, and that's this card right here, Julie Bernard. She's the contact person. That helps us continue to maintain privately funded community house. You don't want the government to fund community house too much, because then they could start making things really thick and difficult to do, which runs the price way up on things to accomplish, and then you get less focused on the people and more on the compliance. So, not to say that we don't do a great job, we do. So, we do rely on private donations, and they did go down extremely last year, and we did have great help from the COVID relief dollars. So that was a big deal. But I do want to draw you to this here. This is the I guess, proof in the pudding. You know, statistics, we're trying to do better and better and better each year on our statistics. And so on the annual summary for 2020, you can see we served 595 people. The front page is this one here. 595 people came through Community House. Now that's the usual amount that comes through. So that was during the COVID season. It's bizarre. It's God. It's, I don't know, we did our best to keep people from getting COVID by feeding them in their rooms and accommodating in all these different ways with cleanliness, etc. But honestly, we might not have, there might have been 6 residents through the whole time up to now that had COVID. And only none of them had been hospitalized. We just quarantined them in their room and brought food to them and kept separating. And same with the staff, with all the staff. I said, we don't have the luxury of staying out of this staff, you know, as far as time off and shutting down and all that stuff, because the people live with us and the kids need us in the community. So we stayed open the whole time, and we grew at Core Health, and we grew on our ability to do things more effectively and to communicate in our organization. So you can see there was 433 adults and 162 children. Individuals served, it shows 313, and you can see the 97 families. Out of the 97 families, only 60% were single moms. You can see there's 57 of them out of the 97, so 60%. What surprised me is there was a lot more couples this last year, which means the working poor. And so that's kind of a concern, no doubt about it. But when we're allowed to offer people a free place to stay, to work on their recovery, whatever it's in, it might be gambling, it might be just poor spending habits, it might be, you know, but more than likely, mental health and addiction are at the top. This, in this, you can see that, look down there, the average day stay from 2018 to 20, the individual stay was about 69 days, average day stay. And families, 87. Now, that's including people that don't stay but a week, you know, and there are people that might stay that they think, oh goodness, this is too much, I'm overstimulated or what have you, or I don't want to comply. And so the numbers equal out to that. But look at the return rate, right down below that. 9% of individuals return from the previous year. That's really low. 9% is a low recidivism rate. And 6% on families, very, very low. And so what that says to me is we are taking a bite out of the families that need the help and getting them stably housed, because if you look off to the right, it'll say exit to stable housing on the right, midway through the page. Individuals, there was, and this is the ones that allow us to track them, okay? There was 104 individuals out of there that we tracked that went into stable housing. There was 54%. And in the families that went into stable housing, it was 80%. Now keep in mind, some of the people that were the 97 families might still be living there. So all that to say is it averages out to about 70%. So 70% of the time when someone comes in, they're going to get stably housed afterwards. And I don't care if they have to stay a year or two. We just want to do it right the first time. And sometimes we have to exit them in the hardest situation in the dead of winter. And then the gorgeous thing about Core Health is it allows an advocate. It allows someone that they got to keep seeing and say, okay, well, if they want to come back in, they got to go to group for a couple of weeks and, for chemical dependency and show that they're willing to try. And so they come back and they do so much better. So relationship is always the key thing. Relationship in the real time, in the natural environment, are the most effective ways to serve. With that, we have, we found, it says here 150 residents found employment through our services in 2020. Last year was the first time we were really trying to track the number of people we've employed while living at Community House. You would be really interested, I'd be interested to see the total compilation of all the businesses that hire people coming out of Community House. There is a lot of businesses and small businesses and people that hire them to give them an opportunity. Heck, this is very brave. Might be foolish, but we had a couple that had 5 kids. They came to Community House. The gal was just off the hook, just not in her right mind. And the guy had both of them burned every bank in town. So they couldn't go through a bank. They couldn't save through a bank. So we helped them save their money, write a cashier's check to yourself, and we'll store it for you. Well, a year later, they were doing so good, and he got a really good job down in Portland, and lo and behold, there's a house, and a lawyer, I don't even know who the lawyer is, allowed us to rent the house, a 2-story house, just off from the lake, for this family. And Community House paid the rent, and then those folks paid us back. And it happened for like 2 years. And here they are. It's been like 3 or 4 years now, and they're doing great. Have their own place. And that's the beautiful stuff. I end up hiring a lot of people that have came through Community House because they're willing to do the hard work. Plus, they know in their mind what the people are going through. It's kind of, with mental illness, bipolar, schizophrenia, and some of those other things, it's really complicated to understand. And with addiction, because the brain's hijacked. And so we need people to understand the mindset and have that love and that compassion and that empathy, but yet have the boundaries and the knowledge to say, no, nice try, and get them back on track. So that's one of the things we see that we're going to continue to grow. This youth activity center, be praying for me on this. This is like one of those things that I thought God's leading me, and I really believe He is. But inviting all the kids in the community is kind of a risky thing, isn't it? I'll probably have 12 to 20 staff there already because we see youth anyway. And so just be praying that we do it wisely. But we will be hosting the kids every day and helping them continue to grow. We really need your help at Community House financially. And one of the things this fall we're going to do is renovate the dining room. How many people have ever cooked at Community House through the years? The dining room's not that big, is it, for 100 to 120 people? I've had 129 people in the dead of winter there before. So what we're going to do is, since we can move the children over to this other site, we can have the annex built into the dining area as well and create a lot more space, which can continue to reduce exposure on people being so cluttered when they're eating. And, you know, grace of God, we don't have to buy food because the community gives us food. There's 12 churches that bring milk every month. You know, there's each month a church will take a full month and they'll bring milk. TP, we've got the TP manufacturers, you know, donating toilet paper. We have hundreds of volunteers, hundreds. Last year it went way down because of COVID, but it's building back up. And so that's really encouraging for us because we know it's the community's house. It's your house, and it's your answer to answering the problems of homelessness. Now the folks down at the camp, let's talk about that real quick. We go down every week, and you'll see a posting on Facebook where we go down with a couple of ARNPs or nurse practitioners from Peace Health, along with a couple of chemical dependency counselors that work for CORE, and our coordinated entry man, Zach. And we go down each week and we say, hey, you know, who needs physical help here? Who needs mental health? Who would like housing? And they put it in the form of very conversational, very relational. There is one area of the camp, they don't go back. They've only been back there once. I think that's where a lot of the drugs are stored. And by the way, drugs are our enemy. They're not our friend. And the laws that just got changed to where it made it a misdemeanor is damaging to our area, and it increases overdoses and access because fentanyl is coming in. And so we got to really be praying. But anyhow, in the camp, we've had 136 unduplicated people that we've talked with the last 20 times we went down and visited. 136. On average, we think there's between 75 and 100 people living there. And how am I doing time-wise, guys? Because I have not a clue.
Got a couple minutes.
A couple minutes, okay. I probably should leave some time for questions here. So we are going down there. Very few people, you know, they say, yeah, I'd like housing. And we say, hey, if you don't want to come to the clean and sober housing, CAP has this rapid rehousing program if you're interested. And I don't think there's a lot of strings attached. Now, from what I've learned, it's not a good idea to put people into housing that haven't got through and worked on their addiction. But it's still an option. And a majority of them just don't take on it. They don't, you know, we've only had maybe 4 or 5 people come into community house from the camp. And I know from traveling from Vancouver to Seaside and around and up in Lewis County, because Core Health has a ranch in Lewis, that you'll see people that are here up there, the same people. So they do migrate. And so this whole thing with the tent hosted camp, you know, I guess we've got to, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that if we were to do it, a camp, and host it, it would have everything that we do at Community House, everything. And we would reduce the amount of people that could be at the site, and, you know, down to a couple dozen. And it would be nice to have 3 different sites, one in Kelso, one for the county, and one in Longview or something. But I don't see that it's that far of a leap. Well, heck, let me just move in the community house. You know, the animals, the pet thing, that's always kind of an issue. You know what I mean? I've never had, honestly, maybe one true service animal in the whole time I've been there that came to us and wanted a place to stay. The rest are not service animals. So, and I'm not going to let little kids get bit, people get fleas. You know, we got to keep it sanitary. So, questions? Ken?
Frank, I just want to make a comment. I've dealt with you for many years, even before you got into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if the citizens in Calhoun County realize the importance of the Frank Morrison vision.
Do you want to, Ken, do you want to borrow the speaker here? They can't hear you.
Steve, hang on,
Steve,
I've talked with Frank and Bill Frank on many, many issues, even before he got into this business. And if the people in Calhoun County could really understand and have positive, in-depth information presented in the media, we would find that what the Frank Morris vision for Calhoun County has been one of the most spectacular things, not only for families, but for the kids in our community. Our children are going to be the future leaders and the parents of this community. What Frank and his team have done, it's just been tremendous and outstanding. We couldn't have done anything much better. When he talks about the homeless camp, Frank is doing a great job. Let's look what Community House does and see if they can make that happen in the community. And yeah, Frank, I love you and I appreciate all that you have done.
Thanks.
For the kids in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much, Ken. That means a lot. Rick?
When you say you're gonna have 20 people over at the Thornton's building?
20? Oh, my staff, the core health staff? Yes.
So are they employed or are they?
They're employed by core health.
Okay.
Like some are master's level therapists, some are going to be drug and alcohol counselors. Heck, we got like at least a dozen kids that meet 2 or 3 times a week on their addiction issues. So we need a place, not where adults are, but where youth can be.
So how big of a budget do you run for employees?
For core, community house is about it's $27 per night per person at community house for community house for people to stay at community house. Core health is totally different. That's Medicaid funded, so we get reimbursed. And I'm hoping to make enough money to break even, at least, with the youth activity center, with the kids that show up there on a regular basis. And I think, Ken, just knowing that future generations of kids, you'll have a better opportunity to keep the downtown, exposed to the next generation. Because we're going to have a climbing wall there, and it's not just going to be the down and out kids showing up. So this is going to continue to, and we're going to have a milkshake shop. I like milkshakes, so I thought I'm going to pull executive privilege and let's do milkshakes, But yeah, and there'll be a few community house staff because we're going to have the kids over there part of the time. Yeah.
Every day of the week?
Well, whatever is needed for the kids. If our staff's meeting with them on a Sunday, I have staff working on Saturdays, they can go over there and ping pong, and, we'll figure that out. Up to 19. We don't want anything over 19 because they could buy alcohol. I know that 20 is trimming the edge, but we gotta, and there are more elementary, the second floor is probably more the teenagers hang out, and down on the base floor, not the ground floor, but the base floor, that's probably a lot more of the children running around doing stuff.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, thank you so much for inviting.
Here, I'd like to present you with a cup and an
Yeah.
application. It's probably your second one,
Yeah.
so you should fill that one out.
I like these mugs.
4 of them. Okay, Ken says you got 4, so you better.
It's a family event.
All right, so refresh on announcements. We have a board meeting right here after, and there's no board meeting next Thursday. We'll have 2 of them in August. Now for the tickets. Anybody that has an orange ticket, you can just throw it in the garbage now. Because it's a red ticket. 390015. Maryland. Where would you like it to go? White Cane, okay. 894.
Who got those lousy numbers?
David got it. Okay, and then Jane.
President Tom, this must be David Stain, because he gets first pick on the search. And Jim Waters gets whatever.
Anybody got anything else? Okay. Louis, just a minute, Louis.
I'll be going down to Kayakum, uniform meeting this Saturday, and so, anyway, that's what's going to happen, and if somebody could come over and help me on Friday to get things set up to go,
What time?
9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, everyone.